Hi all my dear students, IS aspirants, UGC NET aspirants and all India literature aspirants. I welcome you all here on this second session of the original paper to be analyzed. That is the UPSC which was conducted yesterday. I am Dr. Anurag Agarwal and this is OSN Academy of English since 1998. Today I am going to analyze the paper 2 which was held yesterday in the evening 2 to 5. तो चूंकि कल शाम को देर हो गई थी, जो पेपर आने में काफ़ी टाइम लग गया था, आज मॉर्निंग में ही हमारे स्टूडेंट्स ने पेपर को भेजा, तब आई डिसाइडेड टू एनालाइज द पेपर 2 ऑल्सो विद यू. Yesterday paper 1 was analyzed and many students called me and told me that yes sir, it was true that more of the 80% of the course which you had taught, which you have given us the syllabus for the study material, it was actually very easy to solve those questions. So if you have the knowledge, if you are getting the right guidance, if you have that, in your subconscious, the entire elements to understand the visionary, the passion, you are able to write well. So when I saw students today, the second paper, the same thing again came into my mind, that whatever was taught as per the syllabus, point to point, they have given the questions. So ऐसे आप देखिए कि जो बच्चे भी क्रोनोलॉजिकली में प्रॉपर पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, उनको ये चिंता बिल्कुल करनी ही नहीं है कि क्या आएगा या क्या नहीं आएगा. बिकॉज इन इंग्लिश लिटरेचर व्हाट हैपेंस दैट बहुत ज़्यादा स्कोप नहीं होता क्वेश्चंस को फॉर्म करने का. ओनली फ्यू वर्ड्स आर हियर एंड देयर चेंज, अदरवाइज द फील एंड द टॉपिक एंड द कंटेंट रिमेन्स द सेम स्टूडेंट्स. So I am sure you are all live here with me and you can ask any of your queries. Till then I am going to start this session and yes, wish you a very very happy Navratri today. Today is a very auspicious day. So for those students who once again wish to begin this journey of IAS or any other examination, today is a Navratri, very auspicious day and may God bless you for your future journey. Let us start with paper 2, section A, and that is critically comment in about 150 words each of the passages focusing on the context. As you might have seen the original papers beforehand also, they give 5 passages and these 5 passages they have written the name of the poet and they have given few lines. You have to understand as per your knowledge, as per your sacrifices which you have done in so many years studying your text and the classes and study materials, that how easily you are able to understand कि ये किस poem से बच्चों लिया गया है. For example, if I just see the first example, too long a sacrifice, you can see on the screen students, the first passage given to you is, too long a sacrifice can make a stone of heart, oh, when may it suffice. It is written by W.B. Yeats. And I have always told you students that whenever you have to attempt such passages, you have to write in the starting about W.B. Yeats, some of the few points due to which we remember W.B. Yeats, किस लिए वो poet जाना जाता है. He is a modern poet, he is a symbolic poet, he is a great poet, and why he has been so great a poet. So these things about W.B. Yeats which has to be written in less words because you have to write the total passage in 150 words. So you have to choose the words, the diction and the content which should be different from every other students, so that when the examiner is checking your paper, he may understand that yes, you have written too good. So now we come to this first lines. This is as you must have seen, this poem which I have already taught you is from Easter 1916 and this poem is very much there in your syllabus also. So see, the syllabus is coming here at Easter 1916. Now if it talks about too long a sacrifice can make a stone of the heart, oh when it might suffice. So this line students, too long a sacrifice is basically a prolonged sacrifice which hardens the heart. And at what stage can we say that the sacrifice already made will be suffice? क्या जो हमने सैक्रिफाइस किया है, क्या जो कर चुके हैं वो काफी है? सफाइस मीन्स वो पूरा होगा? इट इज नॉट फॉर द ह्यूमन बींग्स टू डिटरमिन दिस। ये हम मनुष्यों के लिए नहीं है, हमें डिटरमिन के लिए, करने के लिए कि जो सैक्रिफाइस हमने किया है वो ह्यूमन बींग्स के लिए है या नहीं है। Why? Because as per the system of the world universe, it is for the God to decide. It is He who has to decide कि what are those sufferings, what are those human beings, whether it will suffice or not. We are not the perfect people. He is the perfect man. It is the God who will decide. हम केवल क्या कर सकते हैं? All we can do is to mutter the names, only to take the names, to remember those names who have sacrificed themselves, जो अपना sacrifice दे चुके हैं। हमें सिर्फ उन लोगों को याद करना है, जैसे एक माँ अपने बच्चे का नाम लेती है, प्यार से, affection से, admiration से, motherly love से। When after the day's fatigue, जब पूरे दिन के थकान के बाद एक माँ जब अपने बच्चे का नाम लेती है, पूरे दिन थक जाने के बाद, और जब बच्चा सो जाता है, एंड द डेथ ऑफ दीज मैन इज लाइक द स्लीप। ये जो लोगों की जिन लोगों की डेथ हो चुकी है वो उस प्रकार के लोग हैं जैसे उस प्रकार से नींद है, विच कम्स टू अ मैन एट नाइट। जब हम सो जाते हैं रात में, वी आर लाइक डेड पीपल, वी आर asleep, sound asleep, and anybody can harm us. So the poet is trying to say here that the death of these people who have sacrificed their life is like a sleep. वो ऐसे नींद के तरह होती है which comes to a man at night. So such was the easy paragraph, these 3 lines, students, which was in your course, which is also taught to you, which is in the content also. And I have always told you, students, that just be passionate for your syllabus, because UPSC में why people, students, they take English literature as their optional, because the syllabus is very short. Don't think that the syllabus is very wide. It is up to the mark, and those who have some knowledge of English literature, graduation, post-graduation, but in my batches, I have many engineers, I have many students who have no interaction with English literature, and they are doing much better than those students who are even postgraduate in English. And why? You know the reason? The only reason is that these students who don't have any background of English literature, they are more passionate, they are more hardworking, and that is why they are able to do much better. So students, whether you are a graduate, postgraduate, or you don't have English background, it is just the hard work and the right content and the right mentorship which matters to qualify this examination. Any questions you may ask me. Pramod, good afternoon. Mahendra, good afternoon. And Reena Brueghel, good afternoon. How many students are preparing for UPSC? You can tell me on the screen, students. इसके बाद you can end the paragraph by telling this thing about W.B. Yeats, how he has written, and because you might have read the Eastern 1916, you must have more knowledge to comprehend and to write in the last. So this is the first which has come to you in the original paper. Fine. Good afternoon, Saurabh. Now the second passage which has come in the original paper is, you can see on the screen, students, I had seen birth and death, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. So see, it is written here in the original paper, it is written by T.S. Eliot. They have shown that this poem, this passage which they are giving is by T.S. Eliot, but they have not given the name of the poem. If you have read the text properly, I think 2, 3, 4 times, read it, solved it, you will immediately be able to understand by the feelings. Because क्या होता है जब हम किसी पोएट को अच्छे से टेक्स्ट पढ़ते हैं तो कहीं न कहीं से ये पहचान जाते हैं कि ये पोएम जो लाइंस बता रही हैं ये इसकी होगी. तो दिस पोएम, these lines are from the poem Journey of the Magi. Fine. Now, इस पोएम में क्या कहता है कवि? This poem Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot, इसमें आप फिर वही चीज लिखेंगे. T.S. Eliot was a great poet, a modern poet, a symbolic poet, a poet who also loved John Donne, the metaphysicals. He has made his name, fame because of his great epical poet, Mammoth Task. the great jewel in his casket, that is the Wasteland, which is a epical poem. तो ऐसे ऐसे करके आप शुरुआत करेंगे, and then you will come to the point that how this poem, that is Journey of the Magi, अगर आपने पहचान लिया, then I am sure you are going to get better marks compared to those students who will just write the answers without telling कि इस किस poem में से आया है. So these lines have been actually, if you see the original text of this line, which I remember, I think it is from the concluding stanza. जो stanza बंद हो रहा है, जो नीचे खत्म हो रहा है, वहाँ से ये passage लिया गया है. You can even check the your original text. If I am not wrong, this is from the concluding stanza of the poem Journey of the Magi, and this was written by T.S. Eliot. Fine. Now, यहाँ पे क्या है स्टूडेंट्स कि जो इन्फेंट है, एक बच्चा है, जीसस क्राइस्ट, व्हेन ही वाज अ इन्फेंट, उसका जो विजुअल है, एंड जो द विजुअल है एक बच्चे का, जीसस क्राइस्ट का, हु इज द सन ऑफ गॉड, एंड इवन यू कैन से द सेवियर, मेड देम अवेयर ऑफ देयर सिंस. इसको लोगों को अवेयर किया कि आप लोगों ने क्या पाप किए हैं. मेड देम अवेयर ऑफ देयर सिंस. बेसिकली, I had seen birth and death, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death and death. Fine. So ये जो realization है students, this realization marked a death in them, the death of their old belief. पुरानी जो उनकी faith है, उनका जो belief है, उसकी death हुई है. And this spiritual death of old faith, somehow they gave birth to the new faith, the new religion, and that is the Christianity. And the journey of the Magi, जिसमें the Magi है, it was regenerated, or you can say spiritually reborn, after they had seen the infant Jesus Christ. Even though it is true that the death was painful, जो उनका rebirth है, their rebirth gave them immense pleasure. This was because of the rebirth is considered to be something of completeness. It was a complete one. But when they came back to their country, जब वो अपने देश वापस आए, उनको ऐसा लगा कि वो किसी एक foreign land में है. They thought that they were in some foreign land. And this transformation, this regeneration, this change was so complete that they could not agree with the old faith of their fellow men. Fine. And as the Magi had accepted the new religion of love, they could not accept the old dispensation of people. So this is what the poet T.S. Eliot wishes to tell the readers, or in this poem, in this journey of the Magi. So taking into consideration T.S. Eliot and his details, you have to blend this passage along with the T.S. Eliot's, which I hope so that if you are an IAS aspirant, you are automatically going to write, will do this thing. So students, you can ask me anything on the screen and I will answer you. Just hold on, students. What is the next this thing? Next passage. The third students is Anil Kumar, good afternoon. DK Radhika, good afternoon. Students, आप जब हमारे सामने स्क्रीन पे हैं अटेंडिंग माय क्लास, आप ये ज़रूर बताया करें बेटा कि आप किस एग्ज़ाम के प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं. Because yes, this class is of course of the UPSC, but there might be many students who might be preparing for West Bengal, Bihar Public Service Commission, UPPCS, Jammu and Kashmir Civil Services English Literature. Yesterday I got few calls from the Jammu and Kashmir who wanted the class because Jammu and Kashmir syllabus and the UPSC syllabus is exactly the same. So उससे क्या होता है कि Pramod Payak, you are for UPSC. So Pramod, if you are an UPSC aspirant, especially for 2023 or 2024, it is advisable that if you like OSN classes, if you like my classes, and if you be a part of my as a student, then it is advisable that you should not delay, because the early the students join, they are never loaded with the classes. So you will be in tune with all the classes and comfortably you will be able to cover everything. So that is the basic thumb rule. Yesterday, so many of my students have done so well. And I can even take the names of those girls and boys, but I would not like to do so, because maybe if God willing, hopefully they may qualify, then I would be rather more happy in announcing their names. But they have done really well, and I have seen their papers, I have checked their test series, and I really hope that they may be able to come in the cadre list. Fine. Now, students, if you actually wish to be a part, you have to just download the application OSN Academy and see the learning experience there. All the batches, study material, everything is in the application. And those who want this question paper, they can WhatsApp me. I will send you the PDFs of the yesterday as well as the this paper to both. Now, the third is from the poem, not the poem, but by the novelist, a great novelist and a poet, A.K. Ramanujan. देखिए नीचे लिखा हुआ है A.K. Ramanujan. And these lines are, but someone told me he got 2 lines in an inside column of a Madras newspaper. So see students, अगर किसी ने भी पढ़ा होगा तो वो ये समझ जाएगा कि ये कहाँ से पूछा गया है. Can anybody tell me? अभी कोई बता सकता है स्टूडेंट्स कि ये किस पोएम का है? How many students can tell me that ये किस पोएम का है? A very popular poem. This poem is actually mentioned, or you can say in the syllabus, even in the MA English examinations, because this is a very popular poem known as Obituary. I am sure you must have read if you are a graduate or a postgraduate in English students. So यहाँ पे कहता है, ये जो बेटा ये लाइन है, चूंकि मैं इस पोएम को पढ़ा चुका हूँ कई बार, तो मुझे जो याद आ रहा है वो ये है कि ये जो पोएम है, दिस इज बेसिकली जो लाइंस पूछी गई हैं, दिस इज फ्रॉम द लाइंस बाय A.K. Ramanujan in this poem Obituary is from the 6th stanza जो इन्होंने पूछा है. But someone told me he got 2 lines in an inside column of a Madras newspaper. So यहाँ पे ये कह रहा है स्टूडेंट्स कि these lines or this stanza is basically relating directly back to the title of the poem Obituary. The father has left something behind. पिता ने पीछे कुछ छोड़ दिया है. 2 lines in an inside column of a Madras newspaper. And this means, students, that the son doesn't know exactly which paper or where the lines are, but he did hear that it is sold by the kilo and would not turn up with the street hawkers or those on the street selling goods. 4 weeks later, but someone told me he got 2 lines in that inside column in the Madras newspaper. So, my dear students, if you have read this poem Obituary, you will take the analysis by blending these 4 lines passage with the Obituary poem. What is the sum up of Obituary? Who is A.K. Ramanujan? Blending whatever his profile was, how he has written this poem, then explaining this and then concluding. A.K. Ramanujan. Yes, Pramod उत्तर मैंने लिखा ही है A.K. Ramanujan. Fine. So this is the third para, students. Now fourth students है W.H. Auden. W.H. Auden, a great poet. Yes, he is not very easy to understand, but yes, there are many poems of W.B. Yeats which are prescribed in your UPSC syllabus. Now, here when I go through this poem about suffering, they were never wrong. The old masters, how well they understood. आप इसको स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं बच्चों. It's human position, how it takes place while someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking duly along. So these lines are basically from the poem Musée de Beaux Arts. Mahendra Mohan Roy, Love for Wife I. No, this is the wrong guess. The right answer is Obituary. Fine. So, these lines by W.H. Auden is from the poem Musée de Beaux Arts. जिन बच्चों ने भी अपनी IAS की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं, W.H. Auden पढ़ा होगा, वो तुरंत समझ जाएंगे कि कहाँ से ये पोएम आई है. Now see what this poem tells about. See what is Musée de Beaux. आपको मैं समझाता हूँ कि आपको इसमें लिखना क्या होता है. How to analyze this poem. Musée de Beaux Arts, जो पोएम की टाइटल है, this is known in English as the Museum of Fine Arts. कैसा म्यूजियम? फाइन आर्ट्स का म्यूजियम. And the museum referred to here is in Brussels. वो म्यूजियम है कहाँ स्टूडेंट्स? The Museum of Fine Arts. ये है MDBA. MDBA. And what is this MDBA? Musée des Beaux Arts. हमने शॉर्ट में लिख दिया है. This is known as the Museum of Fine Arts, and the museum the museum referred to here is in Brussels. Now, Auden passed the winter of 1938. जो 1938 का जाड़ा था, विंटर टाइम, उसने ब्रसेल्स में पास किया था. And there, in that winter of 1938, he visited this Museum of Fine Arts. So this visit to the museum inspired to write this poem Musée de Beaux Arts. अगर आप देखें पोएम में, about suffering they were never wrong, the old masters. Who are these old masters? The old masters are basically the great painters of the past. And such great painters of the past such as Brueghels. Brueghels का आप नाम लिख सकते हैं, Brueghels. The great painters of the past, Brueghels, a great painter of Flanders. Flanders का बहुत बड़ा पेंटर था 1520 के समय में, 1520 to 1569. So about suffering they were never wrong. The old masters, how well they understood its human position. How it takes place with someone else is eating or opening a window or just walking duly along. यहाँ पे इसका मतलब हुआ स्टूडेंट्स that they actually rightly understood the nature of suffering, किस प्रकार की suffering है. And because of that they could correctly depict it in their works. And जहाँ तक ह्यूमन पोजीशन की बात है, देखिए लिखा इट्स ह्यूमन पोजीशन, द प्लेस, the significance of the individual suffering is basically the scheme of things. Fine. They knew, उनको ये पता था that both nature and humanity, they knew very well that both nature and humanity are at large, are indifferent to the suffering of individuals. So this is what is the very brief introduction about these lines. Otherwise, you have to write many more things because you have to write in 150 words. और आप इसको कैसे लिख सकते हैं students, that this fine lyric was published in 1939. It was written during the winter of 1939, which Auden passed in Brussels while visiting this Museum of Fine Arts, and he was very much attracted by the painting of Brueghel, the famous painter of Flanders, and because of this visit, he was very much inspired to write this lyric. And the painting of Brueghel, especially his painting entitled Icarus. Entitled क्या था, लिख सकते हैं आप, Icarus, made him realize the indifference of humanity to the fact of individual suffering. It is one of the most celebrated shorter poems of Auden. For Eliot, Auden's view of suffering is elaborated to a point where it becomes, क्या बन जाता है ये? It becomes art. It becomes art criticism, students. Fine. It shows that it was the moral point of view which interested Auden even in this painting. Now, because you have to write 150 words, you have to write more about it, and you can write that his paintings, means Brueghel paintings, shows that he realized that while individuals suffer, but the daily routine of life goes on as usual, undisturbed. People eat, people drink, people enjoy, the dogs continue to live their lives as usual, children continue to play unconcerned amidst whatever tragedies or comedies, or as the crucifixion of Christ is going on, it hardly happens to them. But some devout, some religious minded people, they may take care of Christ. But humanity as a whole is not much interested either in the birth of Christ or whether he is crucified. How true it is. So this is the point where you are going to get marks. And this general indifference, that see, even if tragedy, comedy, both sides are going, लोगों से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. So this general indifference is clearly brought out by two paintings of Brueghel's. One which is depicting the birth of Christ, and see यहाँ पे खुशी देखिए, और दूसरी देखिए crucifixion, tragedy. And in the later painting, as Christ is crucified, the crucifier's horse goes on rubbing his behind against a tree, totally unconcerned with the great tragedy, what has happened, what is going to happen. So you can very well realize that how true this analysis has been done by the great poet W.H. Auden. And you will also see that there is a third picture of Brueghel entitled Icarus, which brings out this indifference even more vividly और अच्छे तरीके से. It shows Icarus falling from the sky into the sea, farmers hearing the great splash while he falls into the sea, and when turning once again to their work, entirely at ease, entirely undisturbed. So you can imagine the great disaster. So this is the originality of the great poem W.H. Auden's MDBA. Any questions, students? यहाँ तक आपको सबको समझ में आ गया बच्चों? Anything you may ask, because this is something very important, students. Any questions? Now, the last is by Philip Larkin. The last is by Philip Larkin, and you can see on the screen, always too eager for the future, we pick up bad habits of expectancy. Now, can anybody tell me, because I have shown on the screen that this is a poem, a very important poem, popular poem, next please. I hope that those students who are postgraduate in English from different universities of India might have heard the name of Philip Larkin as a movement poet. And this poem also is from a very famous collection of poems. I will tell you also that is the Next Please. Have you heard the name of Next Please, students? कितने बच्चों ने इस पोएम को सुना है? जल्दी से बताएं. How many students have heard this name? How many students have heard the name? Because Philip Larkin का जब हम नाम लेते हैं तो Philip Larkin का नाम लेते मानी हमारे नाम, उसके नाम के आगे आ जाता है movement poet. So first you have to understand the movement term also, because wherever Philip Larkin is discussed, this term has to come into consideration. And this term movement refers actually to the work of group of poets of I'll tell you, these all things you have to write, because each and every question is of 10 marks. So 10 marks में से अगर आप 7-8 नंबर पाना चाहते हैं, और निश्चित रूप से ये नंबर मिलेगा जैसा मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कशन किया है, अगर आप इसका उसी तरीके से लिखेंगे तो यू आर गोइंग मोर देन 7, मोर देन 8 मार्क्स, दैट इज 80% ऑफ द क्वेश्चन मार्क्स. सो ये जो मूवमेंट वर्ड है, which is collaborative with Philip Larkin, this term movement refers to a group of poets of which age? Of the 1950s. Fine. And these poets, अब आपका एक होमवर्क है स्टूडेंट्स, अगर मुझे आप तुरंत बता सकें कि कौन कौन से ये पोएट्स थे. Who were the name? You can write the name because you will get very good marks. पहला लिख लीजिए, जॉन वेन. डोनाल्ड डेवी. किंग्सले एमएस. थॉम गन एंड फिलिप लार्किन तो था ही खैर, और इसके अलावा भी 2-4 छोटे छोटे और भी लोग रहे होंगे, बट द मेन आर जॉन वेन, डोनाल्ड डेवी, किंग्सले एमएस, थॉम गन एंड फिलिप लार्किन. एंड फिलिप लार्किन was also one of those poets who believed to be intimately related to the movement, and these poets actually believed to have rebelled against the inflated romanticism. बहुत ध्यान से सुनिएगा, these poets, these movement poets, they believed to have rebelled against the inflated romanticism of the 1930s and 1940s. And the work of these poets was regarded as a victory of common sense, and even clarity over obscurity and mystification, and of, you can say, verbal restraint over stylistic excess. So this was the reason. Now, as the poem asks, always too eager for the future, we pick up bad habits of expectancy. This is a poem. These are lines are from his very famous poems, Next Please. And we are, always excessively eager to know what would happen to us in the near future. And because of this, eagerness, that we want to know about our future, we develop a very bad habit of expectations, hoping against hoping good things to happen in our lives. And all the time, students, we have the feeling that something is good about to happen to us, and every day we say that it would happen soon. So the poet says that we are like persons who stand upon the top of a cliff and observe a multitude of ships coming towards us. Actually, you know what happens? We see not ships, but we see the promises of the bright and the nice things happening to us. And the approach of these promises, like those of ships which are coming in multitudes, is very, very slow. इतना धीमे है कि वो आ ही नहीं पाएगा आप तक. And because of this slowness, they waste much of their time. Why? Because these promises do not materialize quickly. And eventually, they do not materialize at all. So तब क्या होता है? पता है आपको? सबको पता है. We feel greatly disappointed. We feel miserable at times. And at a distance, each such promises look distinct and concrete. But जैसे जैसे समय बीतता है, with the passage of time, each of these promises fades away. We spend all our life, all our time hoping for achievement, hoping for success. But you know what happens? Our hopes proves to be false. So such beautiful lines and thought in the poem Next Please. Any questions, students? So this was the analysis of the question number 1, a compulsory question, that is section number A, question 1, A, B, C, D and E. Now we will analyze the next part in the next session, where we will discuss about the answers of the following question 2, question 3, 4, 5, like this. And believe me, these questions which have come in the examination are very easy to handle, because there is no rocket science as such in the questions which have been asked, because almost everything is discussed and taught in the classes, and it is just the understanding of that novel, drama, poetry, text, that you have to just, you use your technique to just change the things and the entire thing happens. So with this, I take your leave, students. Very soon I will be coming back with the next analysis of the paper 2, because it is a very long, paper, and proper analysis is done when I discuss things. So this 5 poems analysis took so much time, and I hope that you will again be here with us to analyze the second. Thank you so much. And students who wish to be a part of OSN Academy, they just download the application OSN, see the study materials, see the classes, the new batches, and as per your wish, you can start. Thank you.